All right, we are live. So yes, we are live. It is second cup of coffee. I'm Jason.
I'm Pili.
What do we got going on today?
So much, but why don't you put some music on?
Well, what's the topic of the day?
Today's topic is how to find your passion and one other thing, but we'll be back with that.
We will. Hey everyone. All right. Hey. So we are here. It is second cup of coffee and also our anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. So thank you. So we were looking this morning. And now, well, we're live here, live being on this part. We are live here. Live. That's what our kid always doing to us. So we are live here today with so much going on, so much happening, talking about passion. But I just want to take a moment to reflect because it looks like, today's 4 years we've been married.
4 years.
And
amazing marriage.
When I was trying to think about that today and just taking my mind, I got off a coaching call with some of our students earlier, and they were talking about that, they were doing a lot, but they didn't feel like they were doing enough. And it was like that point where it was taking that moment to realize that they had accomplished so much, but sometimes when we're searching for the overarching goal, right? So if the goal is to go to the moon, but we hadn't built the rocket ship yet, then, if it was the time to go to the moon, we wouldn't be ready, right? But all the steps we're doing now lead to it. And I was just thinking about the last 4 years, and we've done a lot. And you have to take a moment to just really capture that and just appreciate that and think about that and just really capture the moments, right? Because if we're always focused on the big picture of where we're supposed to be, we miss so much that's happened, right? And so it blew my mind. I'll be honest. I was like, wow, 4 years. And it was like, that's it? Like, that was my first thought, right? Not like time's gone so fast, but almost like we had 10 years happen in the amount of 1 year, which is great, right? Because we're using our time more efficiently. We're doing things that have changed the narrative. And the line that keeps coming up in my head is that, as a person, we can spend our days either escaping where we are or discovering where we want to be, right? Typically, you can't escape and discover at the same time, right? So it's that same thought of running from fear or running towards love, right? So it can never really be done hand in hand. It's either one or the other. And so when we spend time escaping our past, well, we don't have the direction or the goal or the focus of where we want to go. So we may think we're trying to get away from something, but if we're not going in any direction, we don't know if we're just running ourselves in a circle. But if you can think and really put your perspective differently, instead of just saying I'm running from where I want to be into that I'm searching for where I want to go, well, now it creates that positive outlook.
Well, I think the perspective, and forgive me if I'm taking this the wrong way, but it's like we don't want to be so many. Oh, somebody says happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary. Yay. We don't want to be just focused on the running away from something. Too many times I talk to people and they're like, I'm running away from the person I used to be. I want to change my life, which is great. Change starts with you. But the thing is, what are you going towards? What are you running towards? That is the goal.
But you can't be that person now if you didn't already be that person that maybe you're no longer want to be, but that person is now giving you the mind and the formation to know where you want to go.
Well, also, I think it hit you so hard, and it hit us, well, not hard, it just hit us that we are in our 4th year of marriage, and we're almost 8 years together. And the thing is, we don't celebrate, I think, enough, or we didn't. No. We are starting to. That's something we're working on together. But so when we reach this pinnacle, we reach this point of anniversary, we're all of a sudden like, wow, 4 years, we've done so much. And maybe some of those things that we've done, we haven't celebrated enough.
And I'll give a counter to that argument. We also don't just let life be miserable and then just focus on like a vacation as the only moment I'm going to get to be away, or that we don't set mile markers as that we're going to endure and not be happy just to have this one moment where potentially, we could spend a week together being happy, right? So we're trying to make the most of it in our days. And, some days we're more successful than not. But even with that, if you're not enjoying the moment or not grasping the moment or not taking it in, then you're not going to want more of it, right? Because you're constantly just battling. So, and
Or
Monty, thank you, Monty. Happy anniversary.
Hi,
thank you
Monty.
very much. So,
or maybe the problem is, or not problem, but I mean, it's just really like taking each moment for what it's worth. And if it's a good moment, then sit in that good moment. Have a moment with that moment, but don't like dwell. Like, don't dwell on the good stuff. Don't dwell on the bad stuff. But if you're going to dwell on the good stuff, please. But we do have that difficulty. So how are we going to push forward through that? How are we?
It goes into finding your passion, which is the topic of the conversation today. Is that you don't just wake up one day with the passion with the object. It's this trial and error thing. It's this ability to seek new opportunities, seek new things to try, and just be curious, right? Because if you're not moving forward and curious, then how do you know what you're passionate about? Because just overall, something may look good on paper, or you may see something great in social media and think, I'm passionate about that. But when you have it, are you? Or because no, it just may look good, right? So the ultimate intent of your direction may be good, but it's only a surface level. And so when you dive in there and go in there and really get into the details of just saying, okay, I have to take this step here if I'm not really standing in the place I want to be.
I can see what you're saying with that. Like, making sure that the things that you're doing, and
hey, Evan, thank you.
Hi, Evan. Making sure that the things that you're doing, you're actually. Oh, Evan's on mine too! Yay!
I think you went to mine first, right? So where did you get your second? He's probably still on yours. Okay,
I don't know.
That's cool.
Hi,
we're there.
I'm gonna wave.
Go.
I'm gonna wave. So back to passion. So make sure those things that you're doing. I know some of us are stuck in these jobs that we don't like, or we don't want to be at, or you don't want to go to, or ... But you can find something within there that you're passionate about. Maybe you're a grocery store clerk. Maybe you like to talk to people. So do that. Don't think to yourself, okay, there's so much more I want to be doing with my life. Yes, work on those goals. But while you're doing that, start talking to people, start getting to know people. Be that grocery store clerk that talks to everyone in the line. I love those grocery store clerks. Don't like them when I'm in a rush, but I love being able to like talk and have a moment with a stranger. You don't know the people that you touch. You can talk about, sometimes I wish we were still bartending, because talk about being able to touch people on such an amazing level. Like being able to have that one-on-one conversation that you could actually change their life for the better, just in that moment while you're making their drink or getting them their food, like brightening their day. So there's sometimes that I really, really miss that.
And I mean, it's spot on, right? Because you get that moment one-on-one where it puts you in front of that, and if that's what you want to do. And I think the through line with the passion is that you can't seek the passion from what someone else's perspective. It has to be within yourself. And ultimately here, if you're going to keep looking for it, it can't be something that you're trying so hard to find. You just have to try to see what the results, right? So that's why, I mean, so many times, college is so difficult, right? Because you tell people to choose,
choose the rest of your life.
You're 18, you don't even have really your mind fully formed yet. And you're telling you, make this decision now to form the rest of your life, and put this together now, and you'll have every decision set up by you choosing to be a chemistry major. And you get to your, year into it or other points. Very rarely do you hear that someone's like, I chose this major, this is exactly what I do. And I love it, right? It's usually that you make a choice so early on that hopefully it adapts to you, or hopefully you start to understand what you are, right? And you learn those experiences to build you forward. But your passion will come, and it can come in all points of your life, and your passion may change, right? You may find that you are passionate about something, and maybe you've gotten enough of it, you've fulfilled it, you've taken for what it's worth, but it's no longer really fit your narrative. But it's you got to give things time to adapt, time to develop, time to just have a moment. And with that, celebrate what you're doing instead of just looking past it. So if right now the opportunity is X, okay, use X to find what's the best the best use of it, right? So don't just look and say, okay, here's X, but I really want Y, but I don't even know what Y is, but I'm just, because you're not being involved to even know if you like X.
So I said yesterday, Jason, if you guys were watching yesterday, Jason gave me a series of questions that were amazing. We had a really good discussion. I'm going to switch it on you.
Okay.
And since we're discussing passion.
You're ready for these questions?
Are you ready for these questions?
Well, I just want to know, you prepared questions?
Of course I did.
Okay. This is awesome. This is definitely our anniversary. No, she did not at all.
He did see that.
She did not at all. Okay, go for it.
Question. So, number one, what former passion did you have, and how has it shaped your passions of today?
You know, so you go back because your passion sometimes gets built in your identity, right? So, playing football in high school and then going to college, and then having college ended prematurely more, for sickness, for other things that just didn't carry out, your identity gets built in there. And so that's your passion. You think that's going to carry you through. And sometimes it hurts for a minute because it stripped away what you've known to do, right? So now you have to make this new decision, but now it's an open landscape, but it's now, it's uncertain, right? It's like being a settler, and now you just got here. Like, what do I do with this land? Do I just keep going to the next land and maybe potentially settle there? But what came from that is that I was the captain of a lot of teams. It was the camaraderie of working together. It was helping others be better through that part. And it was just learning to work in a group environment, learn to push myself forward and to excel to the best of my ability, right? So ultimately, that's not, I'm not an NFL player. I didn't play in the NFL. But in that fact, I learned a lot of steps that build you into a part where you can use that to excel in other areas of your life.
What are you passionate about right now, and how are you using that?
My wife. And
okay, bye everyone.
Bye. No, knocking things over. There you go.
Seriously, how are you using football?
It's
for me.
As much as I got feeling really excited. As much as we love doing multifamily syndication and love for that part. Some of the best parts about helping others and coaching others is just helping them understand that where they are is not where they have to be if they don't want to be, and just helping them understand that maybe they're asking the questions that are keeping them where they are instead of looking at what's the question that can get me to where I want to be. Okay. Right? Because ultimately, like if I say, what's your why? And you say, I want a Ferrari, and that's why. Like, I want a Ferrari. Okay, so why? And if you start labeling that down or building that down and start asking why and getting to that part or anything, so I want to get back to time with my family. Okay, why? Like, once you get to that part of just understanding what it is you want, you can really strip away the layers to understand that it's not the Ferrari, it's not the time with the family, it's being able to choose the control over your life and start to dictate a path that's on your terms, or something of that part, right? Or start to grow the self-worth back into yourself that's been stripped away because maybe you didn't have the upbringing.
See, it makes so much sense because you are an amazing team player. Like, we are an amazing team, and it comes from your passion in high school and football. And
I'm also very stubborn. So on that fact, which
I have a lot of. If any of my family members are watching right now, I just reread a blog I once wrote called "The Family Stubborn." So I'm used to stubborn.
Perfect.
So last question: how are you going to use all this amazing passion, whether it's from the past, whether it's right now, to push our children forward and show them how to use their passion correctly? So
today is August 19th. On September 19th, we were supposed to be in Canada running 100-mile, but that got canceled. Not canceled, but it's now become virtual. So in a month or 31 days, I guess, if there's 31 days here, I will be running 100 miles here in New Jersey. And what's part of that is that I could have just said, you know what, race isn't happening. We're moving it virtual. So there's an easy out that you can go and, pay $25 to be in the race next year or something. But why? Like, does that set the narrative? Is when the story changes just to give up and just because you want it easier, you wanted something else? No, I mean, the part with the kids, to learn with the kids, is that the time is not always going to be perfect. It's probably never going to be perfect, but you can't just expect things to be perfect, because that will never come, right? So it can be your choice to do it, and you may find perfection and when's the opportunity to do it. So, I hope it's pouring that day, or I hope there's other points to it, right? Because there's not going to be this rainbow and sunshine that comes out every time you want to do something. But what you find is that maybe the rain is the best thing that happens to you, because it's also partnered on a 90-degree day. Or, you get to run it home. So a bunch of friends are going to join me on the race, including my wife that day. It's just going to be a different experience that I can't tell you what the experience is going to be, because I don't know what the experience will be. I don't know what it is. So I'm still even figuring out a route, because that's the next thing here. Try and find in New Jersey 100 miles that doesn't take you onto the highways, right? So do I run 10-mile loops and be like Chevy Chase, where he's like Big Ben in Parliament stuck in that loop over and over? Or we're trying to get at least a 25 or a 20-mile loop that I can run in directions there, and basically have that as something, repeat for 5 or 4 times. But choosing to myself to say that I'm going to continue to move forward, find the good in my day, even when times aren't perfect, and just noticing to myself, the kids are small, but when you're not acting your best, if you get angry at them for something that maybe is more built upon my day, say you're sorry, right? Teach them the right steps to go forward, to say, listen, I'm sorry I yelled at you. Because even if they did something that wasn't their best, it's got to be a learning experience, because if you're just going to yell at them for what they're doing, well, then you're not creating what they should be doing, or creating ways that they could choose a better thought, better path, better route forward, because you're telling them what they shouldn't do, but you're not telling them what they should do. That's the one part. And the other part is, if you ever listened to or read Angela Duckworth's great book, but you gotta, we all want to, put them in bubble wrap, these days, and not let them get hurt, or not let anything happen. And no, we don't want our kids to get hurt. We don't want things bad to happen to our kids. But what it is that you have to take that moment to let the kids figure it out, right? So if they're trying to get the jungle gym, and you can stand by them, but don't assist them at every point. If they're trying to figure something out, don't just step in and just solve it for them. Let them understand that growth and understand that moment that's where the learning is going to come from. It's not that point that's we're going to be there to we want to be there at every point for the rest of our lives to save them, but they'll never become anybody if we're there. And there's going to be points when we're just not going to be there. And so for that, they're going to have these moments where they can problem solve.
And they can see how we interact together, and knowing that even when they are 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old, into the future, they can still call on mom and dad, and we'll be there if they need us. We'll be right there.
Yeah.
So thank you for answering my questions. And by the way, I'm passionate about you too.
Well, thank you. All right, guys. That's enough Q&A for today. Thank you again. We're 18 minutes in. Wow.
That time went by really quick.
Yeah.
Whew.
Well, you see, when I get to do all the talking, you just ask me questions, sit back and be pretty. It's a pretty easy world, right? All right, guys. Had enough of us. We shall see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Think about it today. Think about your passion. Think about what you're passionate about.
We're still live right here, being behind the scenes.
Hi.
Behind the scenes with Jason and Pili.